Experiential learning at the Kennedy School is incredibly important for our accomplishing our mission. When our students have a chance to go sit at the elbow of a mayor or a city manager or work with somebody who's planning bus routes, they learn things they can't learn sitting here.
When we started our foundation in 1997, we said, what do we want to build on that we've done before? And one of the things we wanted to build on was Jerry's keen interest in the city of Boston and the state of Massachusetts, and the idea that students, graduate students, could have a very valuable role to play.
You really can't bury yourself in a lab totally immune and isolated. You have to be aware of the progress that's going on in a whole multitude of related areas.
The purpose of the Greater Boston Applied Learning Field Lab is twofold. First, to train the future leaders of local and regional government in the US and worldwide. And second, to do that training using an experiential pedagogy that benefits our partner cities directly. We work on technically complex projects where our advanced students can learn how to apply skills they've learned in graduate school to real urban challenges. These are students who have already taken the introductory courses in public finance, budgeting, accounting, operations, or urban planning. So they're highly motivated to apply this skill set in a real-world setting and to learn by doing.
What I love about the students is that they're always such a diverse group. They bring a lot of different perspectives and experiences to every problem. And putting all of that together, questioning all of our assumptions, has been immensely valuable for the work and for the results they achieve.
I think I'm continually surprised by how deep the students are able to get in a relatively limited amount of time. The MBTA is a huge organization, 6,600 employees, $2 billion a year operating budget, and the students come in and they give presentations, and if you weren't told that they were students from the Kennedy School, you would think that they were folks who had been at the MBTA for 10 to 15 years.
During the fall semester, we scope the projects, which means that I speak directly to the principal, the mayor, or the leader to identify his or her goal for the project and to ensure that that person will meet and interact with the students personally. And we flesh out the project, including figuring out what data is available and what kind of methodology we will use for the work. For example, benchmarking, statistical analysis, building a financial model, process mapping, geospatial mapping, interviewing, etc.
I always suspected and was confident that there would be a mutual benefit to these projects or to this relationship. I never knew it would be to such a positive level. It certainly surpassed my expectations.
Over the past 15 years, we've done hundreds of projects, and we've worked with dozens of cities and public agencies, and so far every one of them has worked out well. I try to choose projects that are interesting and also within the skill set that we are teaching in the course. So most of the projects are focused on municipal finance, operations, and fiscal management. But these skills are applied across a wide range of topics, for example, education, public health, transportation, public works, housing, trash collection, ferry lines, budgeting, etc.
It's an opportunity to really be able to put in all that you learn through all your other classes at HKS into practice.
You're not going to have an experience like this in many other classes at the Kennedy School, and probably not in many other parts of your professional life.
As a former municipal government employee, I know that once you get involved in crafting, building, and executing public policy, there's really no turning back. Experiential learning work is so critical. Once the students are really engaged and involved in this project, they get bitten by the public service bug and there's no turning back.
When I put together the semester, I try to make sure that we have a variety of topics and a variety of skills among the students. That I choose a maximum of 28 students who have taken the prerequisite courses, and I try to put together a good mix with a good range of skills and backgrounds.
These teams have been a wonderful pipeline. We have plenty of folks from the Harvard Kennedy School who now work here at the MBTA and are really important contributors.
Getting out in the field in an environment where you still have the supports of a classroom and you have this amazing team of professionals and resources to access, and you're still in the Kennedy School ecosystem, there's nothing more you could ask for.
I knew I wanted to go into local government, but taking classes like Professor Vilmas's solidified that for me. And I remember she had some advice of recommending that students look for a job that gives them sort of a bird's eye view of the organization. And I learned in her class, like, if you follow the money, that's kind of the key to understanding how different programs and departments, et cetera, work together. So I pursued this opportunity as a budget analyst for Cambridge and did get that bird's eye view, got to work with all the departments, get to know people across the whole city. And the money is the key to what's a priority, what is the city prioritizing over other things. What you kind of get to look at some of the strategic planning and how we make sure that all these operations are sustainable long term.
It was definitely an intense experience, I'm not gonna lie, both demanding in time but also in focus. I would say one of the toughest classes I've taken at the Kennedy School, but also definitely one of the most rewarding ones.
We did a project in Manchester, New Hampshire, where we were looking at homelessness. What we were able to do was to identify the many, many different sources of funding that were going into a variety of different homelessness projects in the city. And the insight from the work was that there was quite a lot of money that was being directed at homelessness, but almost all of it was directed to individuals who had already fallen on hard times. And there was virtually no money that was going into preventing homelessness or preventing chronic homelessness, which was a key inflection point that the mayor was trying to target.
One of the things that surprises me, but I was so grateful for, was that the Harvard students who came to Manchester were not only driven, and you would expect that, but they were compassionate, and this topic really meant something to them, and you could see that in their work.
Even though we're working very, very hard, we get to go on field trips, we get to go out in the field, we get to have coffee and have dinner with city leaders, and there's just no comparison to anything else at the Kennedy School than the fact that we are basically, sometimes working all night, having a great time, coming up with new ways of thinking about an urban problem.
It is a small group of people who all have a somewhat similar career interests, even if it might be in different specific areas or geographic regions. When I was at the city of Philadelphia, sometimes I would want to talk to someone in another city who was dealing with a similar problem. And I definitely relied on my network from HKS, especially this class, to be able to shoot out an email or try to get someone on the phone. So I think that's something I could also, see myself using throughout my career.
You don't exist by yourself, and being able to cross areas of expertise is part of making progress in a real world.
That learning environment has to continue. Healthy growth and change. It nurtures continuing novel thinking about how to solve problems.
The best and the brightest ought to find a challenge in local and state government, because that's where public policy meets the road.
When students see how much fun it is and how much it matters to get this sort of work right, they find it irresistible to do.